Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another dose of your weekly rundown. Of course, as always, joined in by my guy, co-host, Miami's own, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
Yo. Welcome back, everybody.
It's another one in the books, man. Well, it ain't in the books yet, but a lot of news. A lot of New York news. So, the New York Jets, Gang Green, have traded longtime disgruntled safety, multiple-time Pro Bowler Jamal Adams to the Seattle Seahawks. In return, the Jets received Bradley McDougald, who plays the same position as Jamal Adams, 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. So, first-round pick in 2021, first-round pick in 2022, and a third-round pick also in 2021. Deal is pending with physicals. Jamal Adams won. He clearly wanted out. I think we've all kind of believed this for about over a year now. He's been throwing things out there. He's taking shots at his quarterback. He's openly said things about his head coach, his general manager. And not only did he get traded, which he wanted, I fully believe he wanted out of there, but he got traded to a contender. Now, it's not the teams we heard about like a Baltimore or a Dallas, but it's the Seattle Seahawks who played very well. Russell Wilson finished second in MVP voting. Like, they're legit. We've seen how good they were during the season. We watched the game with the 49ers. He's just going to bolster a defense that could definitely use him and looks fairly good as it is now, along with a very good offense. So they're contenders, no doubt. And as far as the Jets go, I mean, it's tough to say because I go back to when the Giants traded Odell Beckham. And when the Giants traded Odell Beckham, it wasn't like clearly Odell wanted out. You might have thrown some things out, but he wasn't out here, throwing shots at his general manager or his coaches or anything like that. Jamal Adams is like I said, been doing the most. He wanted out. So now you trade a guy who's arguably the best safety in the league, multiple-time Pro Bowler. He's a star. Now, maybe not a superstar, but he's a star. So now here's my thing with this and why I brought up the Odell thing. You trade this guy and you get 2 first-round picks back. I remember thinking this, and I'm like, is it fair compensation when you trade the best safety in the league? Some people would say, of course, you got 2 first-round picks back, a decent player and a third-rounder. But these 2 first-round picks are going to be in the 20s. Seattle's a good team. So now if Joe Douglas is going to find a way to package these picks to move up in a draft for a marquee player, then you might want to scratch your chin a little bit and say, okay, now I'm wondering. But at the end of the day, draft picks are draft picks, players are players. You don't know who the players you use these picks on are going to turn out to be, as opposed to Jamal Adams, who you knew exactly what he was already.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about when you make trades with picks in it, you kind of have to wait and see. You kind of can't judge the trade right now. I mean, they got a player back that plays the same position as Jamal Adams for now, but with the picks, you kind of have to wait and see. Like you said, a lot of things can happen. They can trade. They can take both of the picks and trade up and get someone, or you can still maybe get someone later on in the draft in the next 2 years, and one of them could become a star. So when it comes to trades with picks, it's kind of hard to judge them right now. I mean, right now you'll say maybe Seattle won, like you said, with everything with Seattle. They're trying to get back to kind of their Legion of Boom days when they had all those guys on the defensive end. But I think I kind of like it for both sides, actually, because like you said, Jamal Adams kind of made it pretty clear that he didn't want to be there. So you kind of had to get rid of him. I mean, you maybe think you can get more, but you still get 2 first-round picks, and then you get someone to replace him for now. So for me, it might have to be like a wait and see approach. You kind of have to see how the draft picks work out. If they ended up bombing on both draft picks, you're going to think obviously Seattle won because they got the better player, and then it's going to look like the Jets didn't get nothing out of it. So you kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing too is the Jets didn't have to trade him. Like that's the kind of the thing. It reminds me a little bit of the Odell situation in that Not in that, because we go back to we didn't sign Odell to trade him. Now that's a whole nother can of worms. I'm not even going to open up. But, they had been talking, clear Jamal Adams, he was, I want to deal or trade me. Not only do I want to deal, I want to reset the market at safety. I don't want to be the highest paid safety. I want to be like the highest paid player. So when he's chirping at the mouth, throwing all these things out about the coaches, saying he must get paid or get moved, you kind of feel like with Joe Douglas, it was just like, all right, even though like they're putting it out there, like, yeah, we would like to get a deal done. From what we gathered, Joe Douglas was in talks with the Seahawks for about 2 weeks to make this deal happen. You kind of gather that he was going to move on. He was ready to get him out the building.
I mean, yeah, but like you said, he's kind of been out there. With me, I think like you didn't have to trade him, but when you have someone that's unhappy, I think it's kind of best to kind of get rid of him. You kind of have to search the market and see what's best out there for you. Because if he's unhappy, I mean, essentially, when his contract does come up, he's not going to resign, but also it's going to be hard for you to get other players in there when you have a player that's unhappy. I kind of bring it back to the Porzingis situation when people like the Knicks didn't have to trade Porzingis, but if the reports are true and he was kind of unhappy, I think you kind of get rid of him. You search the market, because if you're trying to bring other people in and you have unhappy star, people are not going to want to come there. So he's not only is he unhappy and he's kind of messing up everything that's going on, maybe the team chemistry, but he's stopping you from bringing other people in. So you kind of have to search the market in that case. And he's, like you say, he's been out there saying a lot of things. So I probably would have traded him too. So I can't knock the Jazz too much. I mean the Jets too much. I mean, if you want to say they could have got more, sure. But I think if someone's unhappy, you kind of get rid of them.
It's interesting you said that too, because the other thing with all that was about him trying to bring people in. He was the reason that Le'Veon Bell signed with the Jets. I don't know if you saw that, them going back and forth on Twitter or not. They play each other this year. They're supposed to play each other this year if we get a season. It's going to be interesting to see those two go at it now, because Le'Veon Bell clearly wasn't happy. I know like a week before this happened, he was on Hot 97 doing an interview with them saying he believes that Adams is going to stay. So seeing them do their back and forth and everything, it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah,
and that's to my point. Now, maybe Le'Veon, I don't know what Le'Veon Bell's going to do, but maybe he's unhappy now. That's what I'm kind of saying. When you have an unhappy star, it kind of just messes up everything. It can mess up team chemistry. It can mess up bringing other players in, just like the case like that. It just can mess a lot of things up. So I say if he's unhappy, especially if he's like outright unhappy, like he is kind of going to the media and stuff, you kind of have to trade him. He kind of forces your hand to get rid of him.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's keep it in New York. Let's switch the hoops now. The New York Knicks. I had a drop, but it's not saved in here right now. The New York Knicks have hired their next head coach after a long coaching search with multiple interviews done with a few very good candidates in there. Kenny Atkinson was in on this job. Jason Kidd was in on this job. And a lot of people were talking about if they're rebuilding, the two names I just gave you are two very good names. Jason Kidd is credited a ton for developing Giannis Antetokounmpo into the player he is today. Kenny Atkinson did an amazing job with the Nets before they went and signed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and went to a different direction. But they made their choice. They got their man, the person that had been rumored all this time to be the favorite, signed a 5-year deal with the New York Knicks, and that is Tom Thibodeau, former head coach of the Chicago Bulls, former head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, former assistant to Jeff Van Gundy with the New York Knicks, and former assistant to Doc Rivers with the Boston Celtics. Defensive-minded coach, you got to love it. Very good coach, very good coach. We've seen his success. But saying all of that, this is the New York Knicks we're talking about. I am not here to poo-poo on the New York Knicks parade. I'm just here to give my opinion on it. I don't think hiring Tom Thibodeau I think Tom Thibodeau is a very good coach. He can coach. I don't believe this is the right fit. And I say that cautiously because I still don't know exactly what the Knicks are trying to do here. You got a bunch of young players that you think you could develop, but I think the type of team Tibbs needs is a veteran team with a little bit of star presence, and that's just not what the Knicks have right now. They got some vets, but no star presence really in there. They got some young guys that they think could develop into stars. We've heard They want to keep French point guard Frank Ntilikina in there because new president of basketball relations, Leon Rose, believes in the right situation. He can thrive. I just don't know exactly how that all fits together. Not only that, but I'm going to be honest with you, I put a little bit of blame on Tibbs for some of the injuries Derrick Rose had in Chicago because he's known to really wear players down, and it was done in Chicago. And then we saw a little bit of it in Minnesota. I know Karl Anthony Towns didn't really have the best relationship with him over there. So I don't know. It's just I'm going to wait and see how things goes, but I can't sit here and say I like the fit too much.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think there's for the direction it looks like the Knicks are going in. I think there's a couple better options out there. You brung up Kenny Atkinson. I brung up Mark Jackson when the signing first happened. I went on Twitter and asked the Knicks fans how they felt about it, and I got a lot of response. It was kind of a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people were saying they liked it. A lot of people say they didn't like it. I think a lot of people's concern though is kind of how, like you were bringing up, he runs his players into the ground. A lot of people blame him for that Derrick Rose injury. A lot of people kind of blame him for when Jimmy Butler went down his first year there in Minnesota. So he kind of likes to play his guys. He doesn't like to play his best too much. He likes to play his starters kind of like 40 minutes a night. So that's kind of most Knicks fans' concern right now. And I think it's kind of a valid concern because they have a lot of young guys, and you think, I mean, they are young, so they could play 40 minutes a night if you've kind of really needed them to. But to kind of put that pressure on them to play 40 minutes a night, it kind of be a lot on them. So I don't know what direction, like you said, the Knicks are trying to go in. I think one thing Tibbs does bring, though, he's going to bring a mentality. You know, he always gets his players to play hard. And, you know, like you said, they're a great defensive team. So he's definitely going to bring that. I know I've seen a lot of other people on Twitter when they were reacting with me saying that they like that he's going to bring a tough-minded, give them an identity, and they're definitely going to have to play hard and play defense. So that's one good thing. Like you said, Tibbs is a great coach. I just don't think this might be the right fit for him. I think he needs more maybe of a veteran team. A team like that is maybe competing for a championship. I think more of a younger team. Kenny Atkinson, we saw what he did with the Nets recently, and then Mark Jackson, we saw what he did with Golden State a couple years back. I think those people are kind of proven to be, and they're New York people, so that's a good thing. But they also have proven to be good player development coaches. So I think that's kind of what the Knicks need right now.
You bring up Mark Jackson, too. It just makes me want, because I've always thought this was the perfect job for Mark Jackson, being the New York guy that he is. We saw the way he developed those guys in Golden State to make them they don't win a championship without Mark Jackson being able to develop those guys. You talk about somebody believing in them, but when nobody else really did to what they could be and what they ended up becoming. How can this guy not get a job? Like, I don't understand it.
Same. I was actually the main person on Twitter when all the Knicks fans were interacting with me saying I thought Mark Jackson was a great fit. I mean, like we said, there's been those rumors out there, maybe being blackballed. Who knows what kind of happened with him and Golden State. But like you said, I thought this is a perfect job kind of lined up for him. And if not Kenny Atkinson being from New York too, I thought those are two people who kind of like they should have been number one and number two candidates in my eyes.
Yeah, St. Anthony's, man. But I'm going to be interested to see exactly how Tibbs assembles his staff too. When you talk about player development and things like that, like who's going to get a shot over there, exactly how he's going to go about doing things. But we'll see what happens. The defensive side, I mean, Ntilikina is already a very good defender as it is. So I guess on that side of the ball, playing with Tibbs is going to help him out a lot. But you want to be able to see what these guys are going to be able to do. So wait and see approach. I don't really got no much else on that. I don't know if you
do. I mean, just to bring up the players, they got Mitchell Robinson, someone that I know Knicks fans are very high on. So if he can kind of get him to be maybe like a more athletic kind of and tall and more lankier Joakim Noah, kind of like from the Bulls days, then that'd be great for them. I guess. And RJ Barrett, I'm not sure how great his defense is, but if he can get those guys like on board and kind of to believe in him and get the schemes going, the Knicks could have something there. But still, I think even with him being there, I think his reputation might be a little hurt after what happened in Minnesota. I mean, like you said, him and Karl Anthony Towns have the best relationship. So I don't know how many people want to come play for him. And then we know how the Knicks situation is going. So we don't know how much people want to come play in New York. So I think this didn't help them free agency wise. So they really have to be banking on developing the young players.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not going to go all the way and say it doesn't help them because you never know. But it doesn't look great. The other thing too is I saw Jeff Van Gundy talk about it. You know, he's like he can build a winner here. The fans and the organization, everything just got to be patient and be like about the process. And I'm paraphrasing here when I say that, but you got to be realistic. This is New York. Like fans in New York are not patient. Like let's just be you have to be to coach, to run an organization and to play in New York, you have to be built for it. It's the reason Eli Manning was so successful with the Giants, or why Patrick Ewing was able to be so successful with the Knicks back in the day. Like you just have to be bred to play here. Carmelo Anthony, so many of the stuff that he had to deal with while he was here, but he was good for it. He was ready for it. Like you really have to be ready to accept the challenge of playing in New York. So I hope Tibbs is ready for everything he's getting into. I hope everybody who's involved in this process is ready for what they're getting into, because the Knicks have hired a lot of head coaches the last few years. They need to find that guy. You're gonna hope it's Tom Thibodeau, but realistically, you don't expect them to be winning anything anytime soon. So you really got to stick to this process.
Yeah, and I think that's why Kenny Atkinson was such a great person for the job. We saw him in the New York market. He's from New York, so he's someone that can take on the New York market. Now, when you think about Tibbs, he's a strong-minded defensive coach, kind of old school. So I think he has the attitude, and he kind of may bring that toughness for New York. But we just have to wait and see. Also with Mark Jackson, same thing. He's a New York guy, so you figured that's why I thought the Knicks should be thinking of someone who's kind of a New York guy, someone that can take on the media that's kind of been there. But I think Tibbs is a great choice too. Just he's gonna have to wait and see, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. To move on from that, the NBA's final rookie ladder came out from straight from NBA.com. Number 1, Ja Morant. Number 2, Kendrick Nunn. Number 3, Zion Williamson. Number 4, Kobe White. Number 5, R.J. Barrett. How you feeling about this? I have no problem with what I just read off, and I'm being completely objective when I say that.
I have no problem with it. I'm a little surprised because with the way things were going kind of the end of the season before it got postponed, I thought Zion might have jumped Kendrick Nunn just in the, I guess, fans and stuff wise. But I have no problem with it. I think Zion's missed most of the year, so it's kind of hard for you to put him above Kendrick Nunn. You figure if Zion was there for the whole year, he might be number 1. So I have no problem with Zion being 3 and Kendrick Nunn being above him. But that's the only one that I thought maybe just off the hype and everything that's been going on that he might jump Kendrick Nunn. But it's good to see Kendrick Nunn still there, someone that's been there for the whole season kind of being solid. So I have no problem with the list. I mean, some people may change Kobe White and RJ at the bottom, but that's still like give or take. So I think the list is fine if you ask me.
Yeah, like I said, I have no problem with the list. I probably would put RJ ahead of Kobe White, but it's not too big of a deal. And I guess the people that thought it was crazy that Zion was under Kendrick Nunn just because of how great Zion was playing. I'm not going to reward you because you played extremely well in, 11 games, 19 games maybe?
It's something like that, yeah.
So I'm not really going to reward you. That was the big thing when people started having these conversations about can Zion get in that Rookie of the Year conversation. We were sitting there like it's kind of locked up already. We have the longevity there. Unfortunately, he dealt with the injuries and couldn't come in to really put his mark on that. And Kendrick Nunn showed out this season as a rookie. So yeah, it's a pretty solid list to me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, unfortunately, Zion had the injury, so he had to come in a little late. If he was there, like I said, the whole year, it'd probably be a little bit higher. But I like them rewarding Kendrick Nunn for being there the whole year and showing out kind of the whole year, especially being undrafted. So I have no problem with the list, him being number 2 just off of that.
Yeah. So just some little things to get into before we get into the next couple topics. The Sacramento Kings will be without Marvin Bagley III, who will be held out with a right foot injury. Victor Oladipo played in a scrimmage versus the Blazers. I didn't really get to watch too much of that. I heard he didn't look too bad, though. Did you get a chance to see it or not? And this is kind of going into a conversation we'll get more in depth with later.
I've seen a little bit of the game. He didn't look too bad. I think From the like I said, he didn't look too bad. I don't know if it was enough to say that he should play definitely, but I think you'll probably see more in the coming scrimmages because as the scrimmage, the first scrimmage or so, you don't play too much, and as the games kind of go on, you start adding more minutes on and stuff like that. So I think he definitely looked good from the minutes that he played.
Right. Also, now we can really get into this. Former Minnesota Timberwolves, NBA champion with the Boston Celtics, Kevin Garnett is with a group of investors who are seriously interested in exploring a bid for the Minnesota Timberwolves from current owner Glenn Taylor. Owner Glenn Taylor told John Krawczynski, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name because we have some friends at The Athletic now, and that's where he works. But told him several potential ownership groups have expressed interest in purchasing the Minnesota Timberwolves, that he is seriously considering all options. And, we've heard this from him before. Seems like it's right. Kevin Garnett put out a statement of how he wants to, because I think that's a fear, too, of them possibly moving the team, depending on who buys it, how he wants it to remain in Minneapolis and be able to give those people out there a winner, because it's been a while since they had one outside of the one season when Jimmy Butler was there and they made the postseason. Yeah,
I mean, last time they probably won was when KG was there. I think I didn't know Glenn Taylor was actually interested in selling the team, but I think it's great if KG can get in there. The Minnesota fans love him. He was able to come back and end his career there. But I think even with everything that's going on in the world and kind of how people are looking at Minnesota after what happened, I think to get a black owner in there would just be great for them in general. So I think, like you said, KG is going to definitely try to keep the team there. So I think KG would be a perfect option if he can get the group in behind him and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with that. Somebody that just knows the fan base and that the fan base can get behind and knows best, because one reason why it's a big thing, the only black owner in the NBA is Michael Jordan, so it'd be a big deal to get another black owner in the league, but also at the same time to get a former player owning a team. That's something that's been talked about a little bit in regards to LeBron James talking about how eventually he wants to buy a team and how people would like to see these former players get into different roles, not just coaching. So that would be really cool to see him and get to see him use his mind to try and build a contender over there.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, to have another black owner. And like I said, even with how people are looking at Minnesota after what happened with George Floyd and stuff like that, and just all the stuff that was going on in Minnesota, to get a black owner in there, I think that's something that definitely kind of uplift the community and something the community can kind of get behind at a time like this.
Absolutely. So to go on from there, some pretty big news, and it came in spurts. Lou Williams of the Clippers will have a 10-day quarantine on the Orlando campus after picking up food at Magic City on excused absence, sidelining him through the first two seeding games, according to the NBA. Now, when the news first came out, they're saying that he was leaving for some personal reasons. Then we hear this stuff. And you actually had sent me something over that he's back in the bubble now, according to Doc Rivers. He's in Orlando with them going through the quarantine, and they're just not happy to see. They were pictures. They got pictures of him out there. So I believe he went out there to get some chicken wings. Was the food of choice. I've heard the food over in these specific places of business are very good. I'm not speaking from experience. This is just what I've heard. But was it worth it? He's going to miss the first game of the season against the Lakers, which we were all looking forward to. It's definitely going to be a big loss if they don't have Lou Williams in that game. Plus the two new acquisitions for the Clippers, the Lakers have definitely been doing their thing in the scrimmages. But what do you think when you hear this?
Was it worth it? It depends on how good the wings are. But is it the end of the world? I don't think so. I mean, you do miss him against the first game against the Lakers, but he's going to be back by playoff time. He's going to miss those first two games. I think what really hurts is kind of how it looks, because you kind of let him out on a family matter and then you end up at a strip club. It just kind of doesn't look good for him. I mean, team-wise, like you said, Doc Rivers and them kind of wasn't happy, and I'm pretty sure the NBA is not happy. Like, we kind of let you out of this bubble that we're trying to keep. and the first thing you I don't know, it's the first thing, but one of the things you do is you end up at a strip club. Like, we kind of know at this time to kind of stay quarantined and kind of do whatever you can do to stay away from people and stuff like that. And I just think, I don't think the strip club is the perfect place, even with a mask on, for you to act like you're just being social distancing and being safe. So I think for him, it just doesn't look good, but I don't think it's just the end of the world. I don't think when he looks at it now, maybe it wasn't worth it, but I don't think they're going to be tripping too much. He's going to miss 2 games, and hopefully all his tests comes back negative, and then he can get back out there. He's going to be mad watching that Lakers game from his hotel room, but I think he'll be back by playoff time, so I think they'll be all right with that.
If you're people in the organization, I know Doc Rivers said that they're not happy about the pictures and everything, but you got to kind of be a little upset at it too, because I guess it's not too much of a big deal because home court advantage isn't really a thing now that they're in the bubble. I know they have on the screens and like the loudspeakers over there, like you can have like your fan noise and everything. Like, I know the Heat was doing that in their scrimmage, had the Let's Go Heat thing going on. Excuse me. But, you know, the home court advantage is really a thing in the bubble, so I guess it's not too much of a big deal. But at the same time, if you're the teammates or anybody in the organization over there, you're just like, hey man, you know, we need you out there. Like, really, was it worth it? Were those chicken wings worth it? And what flavor were they?
I mean, people say, I don't know if I can speak from experience here, but people say that the chicken wings are pretty good there, especially after hours. I don't know what time he went there, but after hours, I heard it's a great place to get something to eat. But like I said, I guess that you were playing for seeding and stuff right now, so that kind of matters. But I think at the end of the day, as long as they get him back by playoff time, in which they will, and he still would have, 6 games to kind of hit the ground running, I think they'll be all right with how things worked out. I mean, if they lose the game against the Lakers, I still don't think they'll trip too much. Maybe they'll be like, if we had Lou Will, we might have won. But I don't think they're going to be on him too much. Now, if this was right before the playoff time and he's going to miss two games against the Lakers in the playoffs, I think it'd be a little different. I think, like I said, it doesn't look good on him. They're not happy about it. But if they're thinking about it, we'd rather have it now than have it right before the playoffs or something like that. So, you know, give him a slap on the wrist and tell him, wait until the bubble's over next time or something. I don't know.
Right. By the way, why is Magic City open right now? Like, we are still going through it. Like, it ain't go away. Especially in certain states, pretty bad right now. So,
listen, I go to school in Miami, and trust me, I still see a lot of people in the strip club right now. So, they're opening. People can't stay out of here too long, I guess.
I guess not. I guess not. So let's move on.
I mean, if the wings are that good, of course people are not going to be able to stay away too long.
Right. So, anyway, the bubble's in effect. The bubble is in effect. We got games, basketball. We got WNBA games. Shout out to Sabrina Ionescu. She looked great the other night. Basketball is back. Sports are back. The MLB's back, even though some things happened. Some games got canceled today because, you know, some bad things going on with players and people in the organization with the Miami Marlins testing positives. Keeping a note on that. They're not in a bubble, though. But games are back. We gotten a chance to see some basketball games. The Orlando versus Clippers game was very good. I got a chance to watch a little bit of that. That went down to the wire. Even like other stuff, though, that we've gotten a chance to see. Tyler Hero's pulling up for anywhere. It's great to see that again. Miami's got their full team back together. They look like they're picking up from where they left off. The 2 new acquisitions for the Lakers, which we talked about, Dion Waiters as well as J.R. Smith, have looked very good. Not only they look very good, but they've just been showing out. Like the last game, J.R. had 21. I think Dion Waiters had put up 17 points. They've been on fire. These are the scrimmages, so you can't take it too crazy, but they've been doing their thing. And the other thing that we have to talk about, Ben Simmons is out here pulling up on the perimeter, my man. And we talked about this too. So what's up?
I mean, there has been reports saying that they got moving from point guard. So I guess being at the power forward, this is the perfect time to do it. You know, it's technically preseason, if you want to call it scrimmages or whatever. It's the perfect time to do it. I mean, I commend him for finally like going out there and shooting it. I mean, we got to see if it's going to be consistent. I mean, who are they playing? Who did they play when he hit that 3? You remember?
Not too sure. Might have
I
been
can't remember.
Utah. Might have been Utah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, 'cause last time he hit a three against the Knicks. I was about to say, he seems to just take threes against teams he feels like he can take threes against. But it's a good look if he can, with them moving him to the power forward, if he's gonna at least take them and show people that he can hit them a little bit, then that's good for them to open up the floor for them. So, is this something I think is gonna happen consistently? He's gonna have to show me a little more before I do that. That one was good. He got people hyped, but we need to see a little more before I
It was
just
against
jump on the train
Memphis.
for him. All right. All right. That's better than the Knicks. But like I said, I'm gonna have to see a little more from him before I just go all out and he's a 3-point shooter now. Or they even think that he's gonna take them consistently.
But you know what? We talked about that too. I think what's helping him more so than anything, and you brought it up with Dwight Howard and the free throws. Like it's almost like it's like you're back in practice, sort of. You don't have the fans around. It doesn't exactly feel like the same setting, even though these are these big time games you're playing. So I feel like that helps him out. But aside from the fact that they had him playing power forward a little bit, the fact that it's a different setting than he's used to might be helping him out a little bit more, because we've seen him. A lot of people have talked about it. You know, Dwayne Wade's talked about it. A lot of people talked about how they see him taking those shots in practices and things like that. Just you don't really see the attempts too much in an actual game setting. So I think the fact that it's a different setting might be helping his psyche out a bit. That's just me though.
I didn't think about it, but that's a great point. Like you said, I brought it up before with no fans being there. It's a different atmosphere. And it would end with it being scrimmage, it's kind of like I just brought up too. That brings in like a whole different atmosphere. That's why I said this is kind of the perfect time for him to do it. So with I don't know how many games they played already, but everyone kind of got like 1 or 2 games left. So with these next 1 or 2 games before the real game start, I want to see him take a couple more, even if it's just, you know, I guess not planned or whatever, just for him to get a couple more out there. This is, like you said, perfect time. No fans. It's a scrimmage. There's no other perfect time besides practice for him to try it. So I want to see him get up maybe 2 or 3 a game at this point, maybe in the next two, and then get some confidence in it. Once you get the confidence rolling, it would probably see him taking a lot. I think moving him to the 4 might help a little bit too, because now he doesn't have the ball in his hand as much, so he kind of has to figure out more ways to score. So I think that might force him to take a couple more threes too. So I think all those three things together, kind of make it perfect for him to take them right now.
Well, he's kind of really playing the LeBron role right now too, being moved to that 4, where he's still gonna take up the ball at times, but it's just not going to be as constant as it is. So that could be something that helps a ton for him as well. But the other thing too, the perimeter shot was really the only thing that's been missing from his game. He can do everything else. So that goes back to what we expect, our expectations for the Clippers. If he's really starting to knock down shots consistently, like, where are they going? Right now they're in the 6th seed with a shot to move up a little bit. They can really do some damage if he's clicking on all cylinders of his game.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been saying he's like a jump shot away from being the next LeBron. I mean, I think seeding for them right now, I mean, you kind of maybe want to dodge the Bucks, but besides that, I think they'd rather be hitting on all cylinders than worry about like where the seeding's at. So if he's hitting threes and stuff like that, I think they should feel like they can beat anybody. I think right now they kind of should feel like they can beat anybody. So if he's hitting threes and spreading the floor and stuff like that, I feel like they shouldn't worry too much about seeding and worry more about how they're playing and if they're playing good basketball. And then after that, I feel like they should feel like they can beat anybody. No home court, no real home court advantage, nothing like that. So it's kind of even playing field. I feel like they should feel like they can beat anybody. Seeding really doesn't matter at this point. There's no home court advantage.
Yeah, big time. Was there anything else? I know we talked about the Lakers a little bit. Was there anything else that you've seen so far?
Well, I want to give the WNBA a shout. I've been watching a lot of girls hoops. I mean, I watched it. Shout out to Breanna Stewart for being back after tearing her Achilles. So that was good to see her back out there. Shout out to the Sparks. The Sparks are stacked this year. I was watching. They got Simone Augustus coming off the bench. I was tweeting about it too. The Sparks are stacked this year. They play Phoenix with Phoenix's new big 3, the Mercury, with Skylar Diggins over there, with Brittany Griner and them. So then they kind of gave it to the Mercury. I think with Simone Augustus is coming off the bench for them. they got a 4-time champ coming off the bench for them. You know, they still got Candace Parker. They got Brittany. I forgot her last name right now. She just came there from Atlanta. She was hooping the other day too. So I feel like the Sparks right now to me are the team to beat in the WNBA. So shout out to the girls real fast.
Oh, I completely agree with you there too, and they're a little hungry after coming up short last season. You know, Candace Parker's trying to get one. I remember watching their last game when they got eliminated from the playoffs. The look she had on the bench, like they're starving. They have a very good team. Like you got the Agumake sisters over there as well. Like they're ready to roll.
Yeah, definitely. I think to me, from what I've seen the first the first 2 days or so, I like Chicago a little bit too. I don't think they're gonna win anything big over there, but Chicago too. But I think right now it's gonna be interesting with Breanna Stewart being back, how good Seattle can be, because you know when she got hurt, I think it was right after they like won the WNBA championship, because she missed last season or something like that, or they had won it like the season before that. So with her being back and them kind of being rejuvenated, I want to see them go up against LA and see who's kind of better. But for me right now, I think LA's kind of stacked over there.
Well, I mean, me being completely biased, I just have high expectations for the New York Liberty. You know, you got an impact player in Sabria Ionescu now, point guard, who definitely looked very good in her debut. I think her growth is only going to go up, continuing as the season progresses. She's somebody who sets up her teammates extremely well. I think that's going to help when you have like an Asia Durr as your two guard who's known as a spot up shooter kind of when she was coming out of college. She didn't have the greatest rookie season a year ago, but she had her moment. So I think being able to pair those two together is going to help a lot. And they're a very young team with a new head coach. So that's a team for me and obviously I'm a fan, but you know, that's the team that comes to mind when I'm thinking of like what I want to see from them.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want to see Sabrina out there. I mean, I think that first game was good for her to kind of just, get the first game out the way, and then going up against Sue Berg and stuff. So I think she showed a lot of things. I think she hit a three. She was like 0 for 8 from three. So you don't expect her to kind of shoot that bad again. So I think, with her, everything's kind of up. So we got to look out for the Liberty. Hopefully they can look a little better than the Knicks.
New ownership, man. New owners, different ownership over with the New York Liberty now. No longer playing in Madison Square Garden, but I got a chance to see Oklahoma City Thunder the other day as well. They didn't look too bad either.
Yeah, matter of fact, Steven Adams, he looked athletic. He looked more athletic than before. Like he had an ankle injury, so he's been looking like he's kind of back healthy and looking athletic again. He had 17 the first game. I think he had like 12 or something the next game. So I like you know me, I like what I see from the Thunder. Andre Roberson out here hitting game-winning 3-pointers.
After almost a 2.5-year layoff, Andre Roberson is back. It was honestly it was great to see because it's been so long. So definitely a big shout out to him. That was great to see him come out there and do his thing.
Definitely, I've been calling his name for 2 years. If he didn't get hurt, where we would have been. And Eric Horn, to bring Eric Horn up again, he talked about it before, how having Andre Roberson on the main defender and having PG kind of as like a defensive back was kind of great for us. So with him being out, kind of switched all that up for us. So just think about what we could have did with him against Dame in the playoffs, against Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs. So shout out to Roberson for being back. It's 2 years, but whatever, he's back now. If they can get him back healthy, which it'd be kind of hard right now. But with these 8 games before the playoff comes, if he can start him at the 3, I think kind of like what Eric Horn said, as long as they have a matchup against the Lakers or the Clippers and most likely in the Rockets, I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance to beat anybody.
You got the he's such a good defender. You have the luxury of sticking him at multiple positions because you can just throw him on anybody and he'll be successful. And I know he's at a long layoff, so he's got to be able to kind of get back in the groove of things. But we know how great of a defender he is, so that it's going to help the Oklahoma City Thunder tremendously on that side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely. But CP starting and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the 1 and the 2, so the 3 spot's kind of open because we got the rookie there right now. So if you figure we can plug him into that 3 spot, it'd just be perfect. And then, like I said, besides those 3 teams, you take your chances against anybody, and you got a chance to beat anybody.
Yeah, so, I mean, positionless basketball, baby. You gotta love it.
Yeah. So shout out to my Thunder, man. You guys keep watching. We gonna show y'all something.
Yeah, I saw I saw Luka Doncic hit like a crazy shot in one of the scrimmages too. Well, I've seen people do it before, but just like that's man, Dallas Mavericks. I'm just so glad like everything is back now. Like the NBA is doing great with the tests and everything. They're not playing games. The snitch hotline's going. There's no more positive tests like we talked about in the bubble. And then you got the other sports where it's back, but like I said, the Miami Marlins came down with a bunch of tests. They're waiting to hear some results because this happened in Philly, so they're waiting to hear the results with the Phillies. The Yankees were supposed to play them tonight. That game got canceled. There was another game that got canceled as well because of worries about the test. They're not really operating on the same way that the NBA has. The NFL training camps are full training camps are now officially about getting ready to open up. So we're still waiting to see how things are going with them. They got a little bit of time, but it goes back to the conversation we've had with Eric Horn, the conversation we've had between us. Like the NBA has just been ahead of the curve.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to NBA. The bubble is working. It's unfortunate to see what's going on in the MLB and stuff like that, but Florida's kind of been a crazy state in the last couple of weeks or so with just how they're spiking with Corona. So it's just unfortunate that that happened to the Miami team. So you wish for the best, but like you said, not Miami. The NBA's been kind of above over the curve and stuff like that, and just looking forward and just making sure they're putting the right things in place to be able to have their season and get their season done with. So I'm happy that they're back. The WNBA too, happy that they're able to get their season in. And this kind of goes to show that the bubble's working, and maybe the NFL can kind of maybe come up with a plan real quick before their season starts.
Yeah, I know they're trying to maneuver how they'd rather not go to that bubble. They're trying to maneuver things to make sure that everything is good. At the end of the day, though, it's about following protocol. If you can follow protocol, you should be fine. Like I've heard things that a lot of these young players in the MLB are still going out to like bars and things like that. Excuse me. A player that's a higher profile player that's been unnamed, not even the team he plays for has been named. It's come out that he's a player that's refusing to wear a mask. You see some of these games that you're watching. Exactly. You see some of these games that you're watching, and they're supposed to still be going through social distancing. You can't really celebrate like how you want to because you got to be careful. But these guys are still high fiving each other. Obviously it's hard, but there's a bigger picture in all of this. So.
Yeah, I think this goes to show that kind of trying to travel across country right now is probably not the best method, with just each state kind of going through different things and just not knowing if you're bringing it from one state to the next state. It just causes too much concern and stuff like that. So like you said, now the Phillies have to kind of get tested and stuff like that. I just think it shows that the bubble, to get everyone isolated, and you don't have to worry so much about outside factors that maybe come into it. So I think, like you said, the NBA is ahead of the curve and stuff like that. So definitely shout out to the NBA. We're happy to have them back.
Yeah, man. And with that being said, this.
Wait, I mean, you brought up JR and Deion Waiters, how well they were playing. I just want to kind of piggyback off that. I kind of like what I've seen from Waiters out there. He's just been, I guess he hasn't really played all season. He played 4 games. I think he
played like 2 games and only played like a couple minutes in each one.
It's only scrimmages, but I think he's shown that he can kind of maybe get back to those OKC days when he's coming off the bench and just being able to create his own shot and do things like that. So I think if he's going to be that type of guy for them, I think that, especially with Rondo being out, I think him being able to create his own shot and create his own offense and things like that definitely helped the Lakers. Also, JR too, someone who hasn't really played all year, to come in and you see that his shot is still there. So
his shot is still there. I've seen him setting up Dwight nice. Like these guys are balling. Like, and people forget people really tend to forget with Deion Waiters, the talent's there. We all forget he was the 4th pick in the draft at one point. Like, this dude could ball when he's locked in and everything. His first year in Miami, he was doing some incredible things, which is why he got the contract that he got. Obviously, things ended up falling apart there, but when he's good to go, he's a talent.
Yeah, definitely. And Yeah, definitely. I just agree with everything you said there. If they can get JR back to being OJR, I mean, his athleticism is probably not going to be there no more. But if he's hitting shots like he was in Cleveland, if they can get him to get back to how he was defensively in Cleveland, then he might have a chance to start him for him, maybe. But I really like what I've seen from Deion Waiters too. So if Deion Waiters is going to be out there creating his own shot, that takes a lot of pressure off of Braun and AD right now. So if they keep it up, man, the Clippers, they might be upset at Lou for missing these games, going to the booty club.
Hey, man, with that being said, this was your weekly rundown this week. I got nothing to add. We'll see you guys next time.